I should have called you in the week. How are you doing?
I'm good. We
Okay.
definitely have to connect.
Okay, no problem. We'll do that. So we are about to go live on Facebook as well. Um, okay. I'm not sure what angle y'all see. Okay. Anyhow. Jua,
Yes, ma'am.
you ready?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
go. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Brian, whenever you're ready, just how do I know? Oh my gosh, we're already live. Peace and blessings, everybody. Peace and blessings to the Facebook crew. Peace and blessings to the Zoomers. Um, I am elated today. Today, I mean, uh, let me just wrap it, go through it really quickly so that I don't get sucked into the emotion of it. But as many of you may know, I lived in the US for a while. I lived in Indianapolis, Indiana. And go figure, my neighbor right across the street was a like minded being, a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sister. I mean, your blessings can sometimes surprise you. And Jua, it is a privilege and an honor to have you in my circle live on Facebook and Zoom today as we discuss a very topical issue for our people. And also, I don't know if I ever told you this, Jua, but you are hands down the most significant, the most memorable part of my entire US experience. So I just want to welcome you to our courts. You have been to Antigua before, so you already understand fully the energy of the people. And I just want to say welcome, 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 sis. Red carpets, pink petals, everything thrown out to you. I am so glad to have you on the live today. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
for
for
having
joining.
me. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be in here. Now, you were an integral role for the time that you were here. And so I think the topic couldn't be more fitting to discuss our relationship and some of the experiences that we had. So,
Yeah.
yes, it's definitely my pleasure to be here. And to all the native Antiguans, I am greatly appreciative for all the time that she was able to be away from you all to spend with me because it was definitely a memorable time. So thank you for being able to sacrifice her for that time that she was away. And I'm glad she's back with her people. And I'm glad she's back to be able to provide the wonderful knowledge and wisdom that she has so that we as a species could start the healing process and the journey to wellness and living our very best life. So that's what we're here for, and I'm looking forward to having that conversation.
Thank you, Joa. So Kings and Queens, I'm not really sure who's on Facebook Live, but that content will be monitored. And I just have to say before we go any further, I don't want this to be a conversation between Joe and I alone. I do invite you to put whatever comments, put your questions. If you have any comments or anything that you would like to share, Zoom, you already know how it goes. The hands up or you unmute and we do our thing and we flow organically. Um, so today's topic, I don't have much notes because when Joe and I get together, it's such a when I tell you there's not a lot of people that I can say reflect my energy. And she's also a sister Gemini. I'm June the 1st and she's June the 14th. And go figure that we would be neighbors. It was a beautiful experience to be a part of your family and to mingle in your circle. So you joining on the live today is definitely an honor, like I said before. So the topic for today is women's wellness, and we're going to pay attention to how to become unstuck. Now, I know some for some persons there's might be a gap in terms of connecting the dot. When you think of women's wellness, you're probably thinking about moving your body, eating right, and things like that. However, like I've always said, we're not just physical beings. And because we are whole people and we approach wellness from a holistic point of view, it's important for us to focus on our emotional and spiritual well being and thereby conquering things like being stuck. And so that's what the conversation will be on today. Joa, I know we don't have any planned format. We're just going to feed off each other and
Uh-huh.
sing for the people. So I'll
Yeah.
hand it over to you to get started.
Well, the first thing that I like to consider is for us to consider what it means to be stuck. What does it feel like? What is the experience? What has the experience been? Keep it in mind that, I reckon that we're just like from island. Just imagine an international experience. There's going to be a variation of what stuck may be like. But I think that the strategies for becoming unstuck are similar across the board, regardless of that difference. And so, if there are people out there who know what it's like to be stuck or feel stuck, if they can just give you some feedback on what that's like, then I want to know.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
then,
So people
yeah,
talk. Hi, Dara. Welcome. Dara's on the live, Joa. She's on Zoom. She's on Zoom. So,
okay. Hi,
as you
Dara.
guys, hi, Melinda. Is there any input? Anybody would like to share of their experience being stuck? Anybody?
Well,
Zoom?
take your time. Take your
Yeah.
time. I'll say that in the process of people giving feedback on that, I want to talk about the concept of being self centered. In the event that you become stuck or you feel yourself being stuck, one of the aspects that we often have put a negative connotation on is self centeredness.
Yeah.
But as women, we have a tendency to um, oftentimes care for or tend to um, entities outside of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at how we have exhausted ourselves or exhausted our energy, most time it's because we have done more for others than we have for ourselves and gotten lost in that process. But to get back, self centeredness, being able to center on the self. And
Yeah.
like, what does that really mean? Like, focusing on what it takes to how much time you have for yourself, um, how much time you have for yourself.
For those on, you need to talk to somebody.
I think he's going, but you guys might be in for a little treat. This is the youngest,
Okay,
and
so Joa has a son who's walking
yes,
into her
I have
conversation.
a little fella, and he's as precious as he can be, but he's a little special. So we'll see how he does. But anyway, so we were talking about
Self
focusing on
centeredness.
yourself,
Yeah.
do an assessment of your feelings, your emotions, where you are at the time, your perspectives, your goals, and objectives. If there's any barriers, roadblocks, being honest with yourself and assessing what those roadblocks or barriers may be. I know that's one of the biggest issues. Are we really honest with ourselves? Oftentimes, like I notice not only with myself, but a lot of sister friends that I talk to on a regular basis, that whenever we are having troubles with being stuck or making the progress that we need, it's usually because there's a vulnerability that we don't want to expose, not only to the world, but to ourselves. It's like that. Some may call it shadow work, or some may just call it, personal work, whether it be clearing the space or getting organized or whatever. But different aspects of our experience that, we kind of procrastinate around and let them be roadblocks toward our progress. Is that just the people that I'm talking to, or is that something that we all experience?
Oh no, I think I would offer that's definitely across the board. definitely across the board. Like I said, my people tend to be shy, quote unquote.
Hmm.
Um, so there's no comment on Zoom. However, let me just share my personal experience with the word stock. I mean, as much as we think we do the work, and you go through your emotional aspects, you do your shadow work and that type of thing. There's always, and that's the beauty about life. It's a journey. You never get to a particular place where, okay, well, everything is done. I've figured out life, because life has a tendency of throwing in our way different challenges that causes you to have to really reevaluate how you engage in a particular experience and that type of thing. And I know for me, I mean, there are so many instances that I can say, yeah, I was definitely stuck. But I know I speak for some persons on the call, being in intimate or personal relationships where you, in your mind, you know that the relationship has run its course, but you're still stuck. you
Oh,
know you continue to engage because you're not ready to pull the trigger on it. You're not ready to embrace change. You're not open to the challenges that may come as you
yeah,
shift out of that. And so I think it's for me, it's a lot more than just the aspect of relationships and things like that. Being stuck for me has been, and I'm being brutally honest with myself, for the past 3 weeks, no, 2 weeks, I've been trying to get back out walking in the morning.
hmm,
And it just so happens I run a rise and shine group in the morning. So I would post my songs of the day and that type of thing. And every time it's about the time that I'm supposed to leave the house to go to work, 5:45 or whatever, 5:40, there's always a drizzle. And in my mind, I know, okay, this is a temporary drizzle, but I find comfort in justifying, okay, I'm not going walking today because it's raining, when in fact I know that if I had gotten up, put my
hmm,
shoes on, and stayed on the porch, in less than no time it would have been clear, and it would be perfectly fine for me to execute my plans for the day. So being stuck for me in the last 2 weeks has been, not following through with what I intended to do in terms of my wellness where movement is concerned. So
yeah,
that's just me, sharing from a very
yeah.
personal place. But come hell or come high water,
You're gonna
this
get
week
to
is
it.
on.
Now, see, that's funny you say that because you said that you were telling yourself, you were talking to yourself, like telling yourself that, and that's one of the key elements for me, for getting unstuck, is that constant conversation.
Yeah,
Even if you're not gonna act or engage in the actual physical act, you gotta initiate that conversation with
absolutely.
yourself, and
Mhm.
that's where being honest, keeping it real, and setting yourself in the motion for that word becoming the verb and you getting to it, but being mindful that it's on your mind and you got to get there. Yeah, you got
Mhm.
to get there. Now, relationships is an interesting thing because one of the best ways to deal with relationships, whether it be with a spouse or with a child or whoever it is, to remember that they're a reflection of you. And it's
Mhm.
almost like chess in the physical manifestation. Never give up on those relationships, no matter how difficult they are. And I don't mean to give up like stay too long. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's always a strategy for communication, even with the most difficult person, even
Mhm.
if it requires not really engaging in the physical communication, but making sure that when you do communicate, that you control and regulate your angle of the conversation as
Yes,
far as,
absolutely.
you know, controlling your narrative and making sure that you're not uh, in a factor of agitation, but yet you can be a tool to soothe, if
Yes.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
Just have
absolutely.
fun with it. Don't get caught up. Try not to get caught up in the emotional roller coaster that comes with the power struggle. Because see,
Mhm.
that's not your objective to struggle.
Exactly.
Your struggle is to get unstuck and to be able to
Mhm.
flow again. And if it's at the point where we made an impasse with our conversations and we can no longer move forward because we disagree, then for the best interest of all parties involved, we must agree to disagree. And your
Mhm.
goal to as a strategic move to get unstuck is to know that you got to move forward. And whatever that requires, you've already come to a conclusion, or you got to get to a conclusion, the perspective, a fresh perspective on what the relationship is, and keep it going. Keep moving. Because ain't no point in staying nowhere
Mhm.
where, you can't break through, but at the same time, it doesn't have to, you have to put a different dynamic on it.
Yeah,
Different
and
dynamic.
I think that's an important point as we think about how relationships can change. You know, our intimate relationships don't necessarily have to remain that way forever and ever. Amen. But it can transition into something else.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're not willing to do that, the true assessment of, okay, how do I move out of being in a relationship with somebody to being to having a different dynamics to the relationship altogether. A lot of times we're just stuck. We just want it to fit into one puzzle piece, and that's the only way we're willing to assess it. And it's either we're doing this or we're doing nothing at all. That's
Yeah.
how we tend to approach our relationships, where, that type of thing.
And they're always evolving. And that's the thing about going through the experience and being able to just observe the evolution of our relationships. I was just thinking about even when you left from the States, how difficult that was. But
Mhm.
then it gave us the opportunity to come and visit Antigua. And then when we came to Antigua, it was, I said, that's that Gemini. But when I came to Antigua, it
You
was a
know it's
whole,
always we. You know it's always we.
but coming to Antigua, it was a whole different experience, one that I really never expected, because, I don't even think I was aware of Antigua before you came here. So, and then embracing it, being willing to embrace it and go with the flow of the experience, it opened up so many doors or whatever. And so that's another thing too about getting unstuck. I think a lot of time when we are stuck in so many aspects, we're so exhausted because so much time has passed. And as women, again, we carry a lot of burden, and so when we get to that point where we have opportunities or experiences that we could embrace, oftentimes we don't embrace them, especially when it seems like it's going to be too much to involve, or we don't have a point of reference on how to navigate the experience. So we just rather forego it. That has to stop, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen. If you're dealing with women who are stuck and they're struggling with the experience, you guys have to find a way to break that barrier, because the more experience that we have, the more character that we build, and the more connections that we're making. If we're not making the connections, we're definitely not going to be able to get to our desired goal. Are there any desired goals that we can get to without making connections to people and places and things like that?
Very few. Very few.
Because see, we have to make connections with people
Yeah, we
and
have to.
places.
It doesn't matter what it is.
And the purpose of us making those connections is to vibrate high, right? Because we know that when we vibrate low, we have this disgusting negative feeling that brings us down, and nobody likes it. Nobody likes that icky feeling. So the purpose of getting unstuck is to be able to go with the flow, to feel good within ourselves so we can share that energy, or at least resonate in a place where the energy is good. The energy is real good, and we can be
Mhm.
at ease and there's no stress. Because when we're stressed and our cortisol is up and irritation and it interferes with the flow of everything. It interferes with money, it interferes with love, it interferes with all sorts of kinds of progress. So that's what we're trying to avoid,
Mhm.
right? That's what we're trying
And
to avoid.
yeah, and let me just add in, as you mentioned, the cortisol, it affects the physical body. It affects the physical body. And then once you're physically sick, of course, it compounds the other problem, the other issues that you mentioned, that type of thing. So, and
Mm.
just for those who are joining on the call now, I just want to reiterate, well, I'm not even sure if I said it earlier, but the importance, why is it that we chose to focus on women's wellness today? Is because women are the caretakers. That's us by our basic nature, and once the caretaker is sick, you have a sick household, you have a sick
Mhm.
family, and by extension you have a sick family, a sick country. And so
Mhm.
that's why it's important for us to really hone in on on dealing with those issues, you know um Joel, give us some examples of you being stuck if you wish to share.
Well, it's the thing. It's funny you said it about being sick and stuck because many years ago, when ooh, I'm not going to say too much because I don't need to reveal my age. I'll tell you this. When I started out in life, I started out as a health and wellness consultant. And one of my strongest attribute was my workout routine and my physique, right? I was very well built and had a lot of energy and had a lot of stamina and had really exhausted myself in levels of servitude that eventually ended up showing me that I had holes in my bucket, right? But before I realized I had holes in my bucket, I couldn't figure out why I was unfulfilled by the work that I was doing. And when I took a closer look, I realized that there may have been a bit of vanity in the work that I was doing. And part of that, it was like, uh, I don't know, I want to say not necessarily a savior mentality, but it was like, when you get into that thing where you want to help others before you really truly help yourself, well, it just took so much out of me. And I was exhausted. And this is the thing, no matter how well I ate, and of course, you know how well I ate, no matter how well I ate, I couldn't retain the energy that I needed to perform my task. And that's when I had to look at, like, okay, what is it? The physical barriers. And I couldn't find any physical barriers. My diet was on point. I was exercising. I was following all the principles that they say that you should follow to have a normal life. But then when I looked at the spiritual aspects, there was some imbalance there. And the interesting thing is that I realized that, let's say that you ever heard the same, here we say dealing with our demons, or again, shadow work. Well, um, it's like we can do some work, right, on dealing with any issues or any childhood traumas or anything that may have plagued us once and we overcome it. But we don't take consideration for is how time progression and the progression of time brings about the need to reflect. And it's a constant process of self checking, reflecting on behaviors, values, interests, and things like that, and being able to adjust, with the times or whatever. So I had to evaluate how I provided service because for me, it became more of a disservice to people because I couldn't I couldn't meet the best standard because I was exhausted, and so I had an attitude. And so when they needed me to be patient, I couldn't be patient, and that's when I had to look deeper into personal work And that purpose of looking into that personal work is so we can be a better self,
Mhm. Yeah.
so that when we are called to arrive, we can arrive and we can
Mhm.
provide the ultimate experience that, you know, one might need to get where they need to get, whether it's intentional that we mean to help someone, or we're just called to help someone. You just never know. But when
Mhm.
that time comes, that reciprocity, those are things that help us validate who we are as individuals. Anytime you can invalidate who you are as an individual, to put you closer to your goal, because you know you're on the right path. And so that contributes to you getting unstuck, because that's
Mhm.
what the goal is. The goal is to be the absolute best that you can be, not for anybody else, but for yourself. Because if you're not the very best for yourself, it doesn't really matter what you're doing for other people, because you're
Mhm.
going to be exhausted. And if people come to rely on you and you're not your full self, then when they can no longer rely on you, then they have that void of dependency, and then we're enablers, right? That becomes an
Yeah.
enabler, right?
Mhm.
And that's what we don't want to do. So that relationship that Saran and I were able to have, it was almost like a sister keeper experience. And I recommend anybody who feels like they're getting stuck, either seek out a professional friend or a good friend, or ask the universe to send you somebody so you don't have to ride that roller coaster by yourself, because
Yeah.
oftentimes we feel very lonely and
Mhm.
isolated as we navigate through this world. And I don't think that anybody should have to go through it alone. Now, there are aspects where we're going to have to walk through those shadows alone.
Oh yeah. You
Yeah,
definitely.
but you should know that you're not alone.
Mhm.
And once you get to an aspect or a phase on that path, there's gonna be some light. There's gonna be somebody there with you. You know,
Yeah.
but we get to forks in the roads and we got to take our own turns, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
But you got to keep moving forward, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I just feel like our connection, our intertwinement makes it that we are relying on each other to survive,
Mhm.
in a way, to do our very best.
Definitely. I agree. I
Mm-hmm.
agree. Joel, I
Mm-hmm.
think the Zoom will cut out probably in 6, 7 minutes. So I'll allow them to come back in. But
Okay.
just to piggyback on what you said with regards to, I mean, our connection, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah,
what what's the likelihood? What's the likelihood of
I
us moving
know.
to Indianapolis, Indiana?
Now, this is the thing,
Meet
though.
you. Like,
But I'm gonna tell you something. You can call it manifestation, or you can call it the power of prayer. Because most of the people in Indianapolis were pretty much fed up with me at the stage that I was at the time in which you came. And let me tell you something. So life will make you bitter if you let it, right? And
yes.
for some of us women, it'll make us hard around the edges.
Hmm.
It was this
Very
dear sister right
masculine,
here that
very
showed me.
aggressive.
Hold on, but it was this dear sister right here that showed me how to soften up those edges and live a little bit, lighten it up a bit. And so I truly
Just a little
appreciate that.
bit.
Now, I still have to get in practice, but I understand and I took notes. So we're working on that.
Absolutely. And let me see. Now, of course, I'm gonna want to touch on food. Um, Not spend a lot of time on it, but it's important for us to recognize the connection between the foods that we eat and the way we feel and the way we respond in life, because it's all interconnected. If
Hmm.
we're eating foods that are going to be low vibrational,
Hmm.
it's just junk. It's filled with chemicals that adjust the way you feel, the way you
Yeah.
think,
Change your
and
DNA.
it
Hmm.
doesn't right, and it doesn't elevate you in any way. Then you can do all the I'm doing my self work and all that, and you can bust through it. But the effort that would be needed once you're eating outside of nature, I mean, you're gonna have to put in the work. You're gonna have to put in the work. But what I always tell people, you eat live foods, you feel it in your body. You know,
Yes.
when we say we are what we eat, it's not just a nice term to throw around. You know, if you're filling your body with, if you're in KFC every day, I mean, how high your vibration's gonna go?
Yeah. And this
The
is the
food is
thing.
designed to keep you low.
Right.
So low is where you will go. You know, so it's important for us to, as we think about doing shadow work and healing different aspects of our lives, it's important for us to recognize always, as much as we're not just physical beings, the food that we eat also affects our vibration.
Okay. Now let me tell you this
Oh,
here.
if you want it keeps you low. Go ahead.
Let me tell you. So when I first started out, it seemed like, and I'm talking about, I'm gonna throw some dates out. I'm gonna
Oh,
hit you. I'm
Georgia,
gonna throw the dates out.
let me
No,
just
like
tell you,
seriously,
for
like
those who just joined on Zoom, you guys know how it is. When it cuts out, you just follow the link and come right back in. We'll wait for you. We'll hold on the conversation, and then you just rejoin us. Okay? All right.
okay,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry to
okay.
interrupt you.
So I'll say in the days of diggable planets and a tribe called Quest, when we really opened up the books and we realized that as a people we had to do better and that it was in our control and that there were things that we can do to change our condition, we really looked at it from a political aspect, right?
Mhm.
We never really as a well, let me take that back. Let me not make the generalization because see, remember you corrected me with that before, but I'll say this. We as a youth at that time at that time had
Okay.
gotten away from the way, right? The way of our ancestors. And when we talked about like what we had advantage of, we always looked at it from a political perspective, reading and getting back with the family and eating right, and family love, black pride, brown love, that kind of thing. We read the books and we studied the tenets of the 5%. Then we studied the practice of the Nation of Islam, and we were reading Eat to Live and that kind of thing. Um, and we talked about like the genetic, it got to the genetic modification of the foods and grocery stores and blah 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 blah. But the crazy thing about it was,
Zoom popped out. Let me
okay,
just restart. Sorry. We put our musical interlude as we come back.
okay.
Cause everybody's got their own damn problem. So everybody's trying to find their way. And day by day. Your hand was up, Keisha. Oh boy. Just know that you're not alone. You don't always have to be strong all by yourself. I said it's okay to ask for help. Okay. People call you, but they don't define you. And you will Peace, Zoom. Okay. People call you, but they don't define you. And you will find people. Sorry about that, Joe.
No, 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 it's okay.
Come back
I found right outside my door that
in.
there were things that we can like really like right now. Who's growing dandelions? You didn't have to plant them, they're readily available, and the fresh tea is the perfect diuretic to clear that belly out, to clear that blood out, and just a
Mhm.
overall just savory herb. Now I got some last year's peppermint right here, and I know some folks are gonna say, well, according to Dr. Such and Such, you shouldn't be consuming peppermint. It's all fine what works for you. Let it grow outside your door and enjoy it. But I'm gonna tell you something.
Oh,
Lamb's quarters. I don't know
uh,
if you all know Lamb's quarters. You guys will have to look.
I do actually from being there.
Yeah, and see, I don't know what is equivalent to lamb's quarters for you, but anybody in the States, and you might know, no, because I made lamb's quarters there. Because
You
remember, we
did?
got them off the side of the road. Yes, yeah. I mixed them with the greens, and that's what we had.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes. So there are so many plants that will help us tune back into
Okay,
our
so yeah,
natural frequency. And
definitely.
again, tuning into our natural frequency is what's going to keep us happy and healthy in the long run, and just contribute to our longevity. But those plants, you're not going to be able to find in the store. You're going to have to go out and you're going to have to pick them yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what we got to get back in the habits of. No matter where we are, we got to
Mm-hmm.
get back into. Now, this is another thing, though. That's not all roses. And that's why we have to connect to people who have like minds, because when you tap into this frequency and you getting back in tune with Mother Earth, you're going to find out that she's in a lot of pain. She's mourning,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to feel it. And the only way that we're going to be able to push through that is to network and link, connect with other people who are having those same experiences so that we can be each other's therapy to work through the process, opposed to feeling like that we're in it alone. So we have our personal issues that we're working through, and then we have our collective consciousness where we know that as a people who are tied to the earth, the sun people tied to the earth, that as we tune into her frequency, we learn that though she is hurting, she's still providing for us, and we should
Absolutely.
consider how we provide back. Yeah. And so get out there and pick those plants.
Yeah.
Dandelions are growing right now. Right now, I have the first leaves of the raspberries steeping, because that's one of the best like female tonic herbs that at
Absolutely.
first I got introduced to um, the herb during my midwifery training, again back in the days of Diggable Planet. But I come to find that even after childbirth and um, lactation and whatnot, raspberry is one of the best sedatives for soothing a
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
uh, upset stomach, a stomach that's upset due to bad nerves and just uneasiness. And
Mm-hmm.
so I keep it close. I keep it close, and it's quite enjoyable. Are you people picking herbs?
Oh, one moment. Erica, we can hear you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Hi, Erica.
Oh, and I'm not sure if Keisha is back on. Is she?
I can't really hear.
No, in terms of no, nobody's talking yet. But in terms of are we picking herbs? The truth is, I would
Would
like to
like
say
to.
yes. Who? Hello, somebody's. You changed something on your settings, bro.
I did. I turned up the volume. Is that too loud?
I'm echoing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, tell me.
No, that's fine.
Tell me.
Um,
Is that
but
better?
yeah, the truth is, I try to harvest as much herbs as I can.
Hmm.
It's there, it's plentiful, it's organic, it's wild harvested. You name it. You know, you're getting the best quality herbs that you can find. And so I often make it my business. It doesn't matter where I have to go. It doesn't matter what I'm wearing. So yes, you'll see somebody in a in a maxi dress in between the bush getting what I need to get. And when there's traffic passing you or anybody see you doing that, it's like they literally would pull over to ask, what do you use that for? And that is so sad. It tells you exactly where we are as a people and how disconnected we're slowly but surely becoming from the herbs.
But you know what's so fascinating about it? You doing it in your beautiful state gets the right attraction that we need, and the reason why is because it's the curiosity.
Yes.
Bring them
What's
all the
she
way
going to
back.
do? Yeah. What's she going to do with that? Yeah. But they're practices that we have always had as a people. I don't think anything that I do or was ever stopped to ask questions about, none of it is new. None of it is new, and it was always just commonplace. But as we detach more and more from nature, things like harvesting our own herbs or knowing what herbs are what when you see them, that's something that's becoming less and less a thing. And that's definitely a sad thing for our, for us as a people. Um, yeah, I know there I got well, the dandelion, oh my goodness. That's one thing I wish we had here in that abundance. I mean, we
Mhm.
have dandelion, but not like springtime. I know how the yards look now. You
Yeah,
see the yellow flower everywhere.
everywhere.
And you
Just
just
fields
pick
of dandelion.
yeah, pick to
Yeah,
your heart's content. The leaves for juicing, the root, I mean, everything is there in abundance. But on the flip side, we have, the tropical herbs that are going to come up. And it's
yeah,
just for us to learn how to utilize certain things and just more than anything else, to stay connected to nature as much as we can.
yeah.
You
What's
know.
in season now?
What's in season now? Well, for us, the seasons are it's almost like non existent. So it's like either they just go down and then they come back up. I've
Okay.
seen Vervine out in its numbers now. Vervine is out. Of course, neem is ever present,
Okay.
ever present. The castor leaf, the soursop leaves are in their flourishing stages now because soursop is in season.
So, do the people take advantage as they should? And I'm talking to the audience as well. So, you guys, do you take advantage as you should? 'Cause
No, no, we don't. We don't. And this isn't bashing my people, but I'm just saying, it is what it is. I know you'll pass people's yard with noni, right?
Mhm,
Big, beautiful, bountiful noni trees, and the noni on the ground, and you ask, do you use them? No, if you want, you can pick
mhm.
raspberry trees, so you'll pass the raspberry on the ground. Well, raspberry isn't like what it's
Yeah,
different
you
from
told me
that,
that. Yeah, yeah, I
right?
remember that.
But it's on the ground, and the I think the upside to everything, I think the past 2 years has caused us or forced us to go back to our roots with certain things. There are
Right.
more persons selling like natural juices, which is something I encourage. We're sometimes critical of one another. Oh, I don't know what kind of water they use. I don't know what kind of what. We are very quick to criticize each other,
Mhm.
but nobody's asking what water Coke use. But
Yeah.
I mean, you
How,
get my point.
yeah, how are we feeling? Is there stress there or are we de stressed there? Because I know there's a lot of stress amongst um, the states, like the women of the states, we're known for keeping high levels of stress.
I would actually contend that I think the whole pandemic thing has kind of forced a lot of us to look at life differently.
I'm not hearing you, Saran.
Oh, hi Keisha, peace and blessings. Oh my, oh gosh, y'all couldn't hear me all along.
Well, just now.
Okay, sorry about that. Keisha, you have a contribution. Go ahead.
Yes, what I want to say something because some of us do is take advantage of the natural resources that are available to
Mhm.
us even long before COVID started. Some of us do use our bush herbs.
Can you
Some of
hear
us
her,
do.
Joa? You can't?
Hmm?
You can't hear her?
Pardon?
No, Joy is saying she can't hear you. Let me try and position it. Go ahead again.
You can hear me now?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. What I was saying is some of us do take advantage of the herbs around us. Because long
Mhm.
time I used them, which I didn't really wish to be one. Like my grandmother, my aunts and stuff, my mother's side of the family come like bush doctor. So we were exposed to that from a very young age. I remember lining up in the line with my cousins and my siblings,
Yeah.
and my grandmother have a belt and a cup of water, and
You already know.
go. So some of that has been instilled. But what I wanted to share is a bit further back in the conversation was my being stuck, because I remember being in a place emotionally where I was so reactive, and um, I had no control over my emotions, and I was impulsive, and I used to wear my feelings on my shoulder, and sometimes I felt like I was losing it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes there's some people who are just critical, and there's some people who are critical but don't care about the being critical. But there
Mm-hmm.
were some people who were critical who cared. And what I did, after hearing enough people say the same thing, I started to take into consideration what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to do some work on myself. At one point, things were so bad because when I was ready to get rid of some real messed up things, like I used to just behave in some manner that was very, I'm not ashamed to talk about it. People just think I'm crazy. I don't care, it don't bother me now, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
I had to start to do the work on myself and consider some of what they said. At
Mm-hmm.
one point, I did a little therapy, which
Mm-hmm.
taught me some coping mechanisms. And then, like, I would go online and research and do a lot of reading and try and therapy myself,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point now where I'm at the point now where you grow. I see growth in myself. I see
Absolutely.
maturity in myself,
Mm-hmm.
and to a point now where I can recognize certain things in others.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can point it out. Sometimes from a loving place, sometimes from a tough love place. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? And be
Yes.
now in a position where you can help others, because when you get to the point where you at the bottom of the barrel, like at
Yeah.
the bottom of the barrel,
Mm-hmm.
even doing things to hurt yourself physically,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
doing things that you know you really don't like smoking cigarettes. I smoke weed, right? And
Yes.
I cigarettes. And there are times when I used to be so stressed out, I go buy a whole pack of cigarettes and start burning them. Feeling
Wow.
sick. No, I know what I realized I was doing. I realized I was punishing myself.
Yes.
I must have said,
Self sabotage 101.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I could tell you more too, but that's okay, But but I said, Charles, I can't be doing this to myself.
Yeah.
And then, when so being around the right sort of people help, because being around my born to family, that really helps a lot. And then that kind of opened up my eyes spiritually now to some things regarding God that helped me to look on things different. So all the negative experiences kind of combined to point me in a direction where I received help from myself and from others, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And then now going further, where now I was stuck
Mhm.
emotionally and physically now, where I link up with and I start doing the detox. That took things now to a whole other level.
Yes.
And even with the awareness that I have now, sometimes I still find myself stuck. So right now I'm a little stuck too, but I am not letting it get me down. I'm not worried about it
Mm-hmm.
because I know I'm not gonna stay stuck. Because
Right.
I know my heart will
Mm-hmm.
different. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So I know that, like, since I moved out here, I have not really been able to go walking in the morning. And that's why, like, I really texted and I hike today. Because
Yeah.
I know if I was doing my daily walk, I would be in a much better physical condition. And then
Right.
sometimes I kind of slip up a little bit with the distance, but I know that I'm never going to step up so far that I'm going to fall that far behind. You
Yeah.
understand? Because in my heart and my mind is purpose to do the best for myself and my children.
Right.
So for anybody who might be in that place, sometimes it's worthwhile to listen to others, even them people who so bad minded, there's something to learn from them. The critics, there's
Absolutely.
something to learn from them. And
Mm-hmm.
then you do some reflection and do the work and trust me. You'll grow, you'll mature, you'll overcome, and you'll realize things don't bother you the same like they used to bother you no more.
Mm-hmm.
You know yourself, you know where you're coming from, you
Right.
know. I wanted to share that because
Thank you
it's
so
been
much,
a long
Keisha.
journey. It was very deep and dark, and well, not dark as in dark, but it was low. And I want to say
Yes,
it was like
yes,
it was
yeah,
very low. You
hmm,
understand?
yeah,
And so people might be going through that, and you know, and there's no shame to me because
hmm,
we're women, and
hmm,
some go better and some go worse, and
yes.
it's not new under the sun. Everything
Not
that
a
happens,
thing, not a
happens.
single
Time
thing.
it, if we think we bad, right? Generations ancient, worse than are we? Some of them man, woman love more man than our we put together. The things that this kind of lifestyle, so we think trim and proper. Some of back in the day, it was more ratchet than what we can imagine because we learned that we see it. You understand? So there's nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing, I don't think it's all the kind of, but I'm just keeping it real, you know?
Hmm.
There's nothing to be ashamed of, no matter what mistake you make, and we learn that. And nobody can make me feel bad about any mistake you
You
make
made
me
in the
feel bad.
past.
You
And you
understand?
see, that's the beautiful thing too. And the reason why we can now be, when you do the work and you can be stuck, but you already know I have the tools. And so
Yeah.
that gives you a lot of peace of mind. It's just whenever you're ready to pummel through it, you know you have tools. And Joel, let me
Yeah.
just talk about Keisha.
Mhm.
Keisha and I kind of reconnected at an event, I think June of last year. And I was having a detox. 2 weeks later, I told her, and this is the thing, Keisha, the stock, it's something that we wear. It's like clothes. Because yes, I knew Keisha from before and we would see each other and we would hail. But at that event, when I saw you, um, I didn't have to ask if you were stuck. It's something that preceded you. You understand? So,
Mm.
yes, your conversation was light. Yes, it was friendly and all that. But what met me first was the stuff. And that's why I told her, Keisha, it doesn't matter what, come and do the detox.
It
Don't worry about finances. And Joe, she has lost, since that time, she has lost over 40 pounds.
that's
So, this
beautiful.
is somebody who kind of half doing anything. Because once you have accomplished that much,
She's
it's,
flowing.
yeah.
Yeah, she's gotten to the flow of things. Yeah, you said wearing it's like a weight.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's it's on us. It's in
Mhm.
us. It's embodying us.
Yeah,
And sometimes people can see it.
yeah.
It's something you can put on a front and you can act, oh hi, good morning, hi, how is everybody and whatever. But the essence of you and your stuckness, yeah, it's something a lot of times we can't hide it.
Feeling you before you come into the room.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's how we become a detriment to others as
Absolutely.
well. Not that that should be our focus, but being mindful about how we people interact with us and how we interact with other people. But I want to
Mhm.
say to Miss Keisha that remember to constantly have that conversation with yourself. Like you
Mhm.
said, you know that it's temporary. That conversation should be constant.
Don't.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that you moving through.
Wait, wait, wait. Who is that? Okay. Wait, wait, wait. Let me see who that is. I didn't make Ryan host. Did I? Okay.
Elijah!
Keisha, we can still hear
Oh,
you.
oh Lord, sorry, sorry.
Yeah. So go ahead. Go ahead. Keisha, you wanted to say something else? Let
No, I
me.
was just saying that sometimes, it's easy to put up a front and everybody walking around asking each other, oh, all is well. And I afraid that talking when anybody can ask me that, but tell them, listen, all is not well, right? Or I'm good, you know? But
Oh
it's
boy,
something
what
you
did
have
I
to just keep
press?
on checking. You have to keep on checking yourself and having certain conversations because it's very easy to kind of slip back into a certain frame of mind. But
Oh,
you have the power within yourself to do it. Everything that you need is within you. Everything okay there?
yeah. I
Okay,
just took
yeah. So
myself off of the screen from Facebook. I couldn't figure out what I did.
Yeah, so that's my little contribution.
And I just want to encourage you, Keisha. I want to encourage you because even it's not just the physical way in terms of the difference I've seen in you, your temperament, your aura, everything has lightened up so much. And I know that
Oh,
you keep getting it. I know that you keep hearing it because,
it's true.
yeah, yeah, it's very, very evident. So I
Even
applaud you and I commend
thank
you.
you.
And the
I was
beautiful
very
thing about what Keisha has done, Joa,
Mm-hmm.
um, she does the detox. She does it consistently with me since that time. So that's pretty much every quarter coming in, right? And her family, her son and her daughter, they're actively involved.
Good.
So the hikes, they attend the hikes, the aerobic classes, they attend the aerobic classes. So it's extending outside of her
Yeah.
to her offspring.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Beautiful,
Absolutely.
beautiful thing. Keisha, I applaud you over and over again for the work that you continue to do. You know,
Yes.
thank you. And I
Congratulations.
thank you for giving me the means and the resources and the tools because I absolutely could not do it without the support that you give to me, Saran, because a lot of the times I might not be in the position, but you extend your love to me. And I'm so grateful for you because I absolutely could not do it without you, sister.
thank you. Thank you. That is and I the internet is it Joy, you're frozen.
Am I frozen? Can you hear me?
Uh Joa.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Um yeah, as I was saying, Keisha, when I say it's safe, I know and recognize the power of energy, and I know, you know, I know you got me, and that's important,
Ye-
you know.
Yes.
So Joa,
Yes.
let's talk about the ways in which, I guess, more takeaways in terms of how we become unstuck. You know,
Okay.
yeah,
So, for anybody that you know, whether it be a close friend or a distant friend, really promote and encourage constant self assessment,
hmm
self awareness. See, that negative self talk, we know we don't need it. We already know how we feel and where we are. So, once we hear that voice, we have to work really quick to
hmm
step it out. Mhm. And then have the constant conversation with ourselves of the progress that we're going to make and the purpose.
hmm
And so being conscious of being self-centered, centering on self-centeredness, taking some time to assess our emotions, how we feel, assess our perspectives, how our perspectives stand according to the test of time, the progression of time, um, assessing our goals, our objectives, also our habits and our routines.
yes,
And the conversation that we have with ourselves is so critical because, again, even if we're not doing the action, we still have that verb that
yes,
reminds us that we want to eventually get to the ability, the capacity to take the motion, whatever action that is.
hmm
So, in having that conversation, we're also staying honest with ourselves. And this is the thing that I have come to take most pride in. Nobody knows what the conversation's going on in your mind.
nobody.
You don't have to be embarrassed by it. You don't
hmm
have to be burdened by it. You can really exercise all the struggles that you have within that conversation. Now, when you need to run it by someone else or get it out, then get it out. But do not be burdened or ashamed by the conversation that's, excuse me, guys, that's going on in your mind, because that's how we work through processes. And it's a critical a part to systems management. So don't struggle with that part, or if you are struggling, accept the struggle. Okay. And be open to whatever experience that you're going through. Just embrace it. I know that before I could uh, say, oh, okay, I'm going through this because this is what I'm meant to go through to build the character that I need to build. So time down the line, I'll have that point of reference and experience to share with somebody, and I can speak from experience. You know how we do. Oh Lord, well, I mean, it's always something. Blah 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 blah. Now imagine having that experience and being able to say, "Oh damn, this is what I'm going through." Okay, we're gonna have to assess what it is and go through it. Or being like, oh God, it's me. What was me? Listen, I'm only telling y'all because I have been here. And and the crazy thing about it is I chose to pick something that not only was out of my control, I couldn't change it. Like the loss of a parent. Oh my God. Now it wasn't the loss of the parent that really had burdened me. It was that I looked at now because the loss of the parent when I was 7 years old. But I'm wherever I am in this point in my life, whatever need that I had at the time, where I wanted to focus more on the deficit than I did the positive and advantage. And while I'm focusing on, I lost all the energy that I had to through the situation at the time, and so we got to be careful of that, and that's the energy that we contribute to our strategy, and that goes back to the relationships or whatever. So another thing to take out of it though is that so when we're in these places of downtime, knowing that anything that we can do to make ourselves stronger, like, okay, so you know how everybody has a few shortcomings, but everybody has a few strengths. So we got to figure out how to let our strengths cultivate our shortcomings. Don't get hung up on it. Don't get hung up on it, because this is what I come to find out. Just like the perfect food dish, the perfect food dish, it doesn't have all of one seasoning. If you don't add turmeric to curry, then you're gonna get a unsavory flavor. But if you balance it just right with a little bit of paprika or whatever you add to it, it's going to put that flavor palette right where it needs to be to give you one of the best savory dishes that you have. Well, see, that's the problem. We are like the seasoning, and all we really do is have to cultivate ourselves to the very best that we can be for ourselves. It does not matter how weird, how quirky, how simple we are. Just the essence of our own individual energy. If we cultivate that, we become the right season for the right formula for the right recipe in that right time. And so that's why we have to really focus on self. Okay, not what Gina's doing, not what Beverly's doing, not what Katina's doing, but what it is here. Okay. And moving from that, having support group. If we can't find it through a friend because we've been negative Nancy for so long, nobody really wants to be bothered, then we're gonna have to find it from a professional source. And I don't know if that would be some type of guild group, sewing group that we can join, or a woodworking group that we can join, a small engineer science club, something, but someplace where we can connect to people that share similar values to us, so we can just keep flowing. And if we are in so deep of a depression that that's too much to get out of the house because we are exhausted and we just can barely get from A to B, then you have to constantly have that conversation with yourself. You have to be intimate. You know how you've isolated yourself. And since you have isolated yourself, now you have to become intimate with yourself. You probably don't like yourself, which is why you're so depressed. Well, now we got to figure out why we don't like ourselves. But you got to get to loving yourself. And this is the thing. It don't matter what it is you don't like about you. That's on you. Anybody else could love it if you let them. you know? So you got to get to loving it because you're setting a standard for how you experience the world and how the world experiences you. And unfortunately, as I have learned, not having a mother or a father to help navigate me through it, your mommy and your daddy can't fix it. They can't be there to necessarily nurture it. So you have to be your own mother and your father and to go within and take that mother father energy and get yourself to a place. And I apologize if I said that with sarcasm to the point where it may offended someone. It wasn't my intention to offend you, but you know what I mean. So the best thing for you to do is again go within, have that conversation, let your shortcomings be cultivated by your strengths. And this is the thing: if you're miserable now, unhappy, or at some point of dis-ease, just like being down, the only way is up.
That's
What does
right.
it look like to get better? What does it look like for you to be at your absolute very best?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the focus should be. And it
Yeah.
don't matter how you feel like it's impossible. Even if it's impossible, you can die trying to get there. Because we all gonna die sometime. So can't be offended by that either. We just gonna have fun in the process.
Is.
Don't worry about the time. We're just gonna improve the quality, okay? So for all of you there who got access to that sun and that sky, and you know how they say the sky's the limit. If you don't believe it, just sit back and just absorb it and
Mm-hmm.
observe it, because where I'm at, the sun is not shining yet. It should be out, but it is not. Okay. And where we should be having 70-degree weather, it's like 45,
Mm-hmm.
and it's in April. Plants
Yeah.
should be in the ground, but they can barely make it. So you all have to keep that in mind so you don't take for granted, um, you know, what's available to you. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the same. I'm definitely doing the same because there could be bombs are flying over here too, but everything's calm
Yeah.
for now.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
in this time of peace, we have to be preparing for what they say, preparing for war. And I'm not really sure if it's in a time of peace. Okay. And that's another thing. That's why we have to do best with what we have. So
Mm-hmm.
things can get a lot worse, but they can get a lot better. And because we don't want to be stuck, we're focusing on things getting better. Mm,
Better. Yeah.
yeah.
I just want to elaborate a little bit on the self-talk.
Okay.
And the thing about it, you said something, like I said, I host the Upful Energy group in the morning. So I post like, a little motivational tidbit and a song. And yesterday's song made such an impact on a lot of people. A lot of people reached out about that song. And the song said, don't you let nobody love you more than you love yourself.
Yeah.
It's so, so important the way in which we talk and treat ourselves, especially in the self-talk and the self-sabotaging ways and things like that. It's so important for us to nip that in the bud. So, so critical.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, in this day and age, we turn on social media and everything looks like perfection,
Yeah.
not recognizing that we're looking at an illusion. Nothing is as it appears. Everything appears the way it's intended to appear and not really a glimpse as to the reality of it. So as we now look at ourselves in the mirror, we go and there's this constant need for physical improvement to ourselves, not because of getting to a wellness goal or anything like that, but just for the sheer vanity of it.
Yeah.
So we're very critical now. I know people who are intentionally gaining weight so they can get, what's it, BBL, a BBL done. When you look in the mirror, now then, what are you saying to yourself? What is the conversation that you're having with yourself? It's one that does not celebrate, it doesn't uplift you in any way.
Yeah.
It's a constant negative self-talk, just negative self-talk. We need to be farmers again and uproot. Take your horn, pick that up, and throw it out
Yeah.
because it's such an abusive way to experience life. We are quick to call out each other. Oh, such and such abused me because he said this and she said that and that type of thing. But nobody really assesses. Okay, so what are you doing to yourself? The other person that you claim abused you,
Yeah.
it's it's a momentary thing or an occasional thing. He did it on the weekend. She did it on Monday of last year, whatever time. But for us, we do it to ourselves every day.
Every day.
We get up in the morning, and for some of us, even before our feet touch the ground, we start with ourselves,
Yeah.
running through our physical body, oh, this, so this, and that, so that, and
Yeah.
really criticizing ourselves in a way that is not helpful
Yeah.
and is very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so Keisha, did you have your hand up? Okay, maybe I saw her. Hi, Zion. Natisha, please.
Yes, have my hand up.
Sorry about that. How are you, Queen?
I'm good. As you mentioned about what updating ourselves,
Wait, Natisha, can you talk a little louder? I know Joe can't hear you.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
She can, yeah.
Okay. I was saying, as you mentioned about us abusing ourselves more than anyone else, it reminds me of that I read at least once because it's so good. So I'm going to recommend it's called
It's called what?
For Agreement.
The Four Agreements. Oh, yes. Brian?
Chapter 1.
Brian is on the call and he's always advocating for that book. It's a powerful
Yeah.
read.
Teach accountability and stop blaming others. So I definitely recommend it.
Yeah. Brian, if you could drop the author's name, I don't remember. It's the Four Agreements. I don't remember the author's name, but anywhere you go and you Google the Four Agreements, it's a very popular book. It's a very useful tool as well, um, in terms of how you relate with yourself and how you relate to others, in terms of your expectations and things like that. So thank you so much for sharing that, Zion. That's a definite helpful tool. Um, Let me see.
Don Miguel Ruiz.
Yes, Ruiz. Okay. And also, let me plug for Brian. There is a beautiful video now on YouTube. It's by the Dynamic Four Elements. The group is called Four Elements United, and they did a breakdown of the four agreements, and that's a yes, Don Miguel Ruiz. Yes. So once you get off the live and you're interested in doing that and you don't want to read the book, I would highly recommend that you watch that video. It's the Four Agreements. And again, it's on the channel for the Four Elements United. Four Elements United on YouTube. Yeah, and that's definitely a podcast. If you're into the conversation that we're having now and you want a male perspective, a king's perspective on everything, that's a podcast that you should definitely follow. Jura, plug. It's every Wednesday. And so I highly encourage that. Okay.
Okay, every Wednesday.
All right. Um anybody else wanted to share anything? Thank you so much for that, Zion. No more sharing. Y'all gone quiet on us. That's fine. Thank you so much again, Zion. Now, oh, there it is. The link is in the chat. So you can follow that. They did a nice breakdown of those four agreements. Okay, so now let's get back to we're talking about the conversation with yourself. It's important for us to know, like when you're down, allow yourself to be down. You understand? But keep the conversation going. Keep the conversation going with yourself. Ah, Zoom just ran out of time. Let me go back in. Just one moment, dear Joe.
Okay.
How are you feeling, Joa?
Feeling pretty good.
Good stuff. It's really good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
Really, really good. It's time for you to come to Antigua.
Oh, I know.
You do need to come.
I renewed my pass, or I started the. I put kind of my
Process.
process of renewing my application.
We're doing. Mommy peeking in. Like, no, it's not the time. um. Okay, so I'm seeing meeting settings. Let me just change this. Um, we're gonna wrap up shortly, people. Tonight is gonna be a shorter conversation. Joe and I both have obligations shortly, um, but we just want to close off. Okay. So peace and blessings again, people on Zoom. Hi, Tammy. How are you? Thanks for joining. Now, Joe, you want to continue? We were
Yeah.
talking about the tools, the way in which we, you know.
Well, I wanted to say, oftentimes when we're feeling stuck, it's because we're holding on to ideologies and values, practices that no longer serve us. And that's
Mhm.
another reason why we have to be in constant communication with ourselves and honest with ourselves and assessing our transition again with the times. So, again, you know, I don't believe that this is the only life we give. I believe in reincarnation now, regardless of whether you believe it or not. You can say you only get this one life to live. If you feel like you only get this one life to live, that's why you should make the absolute best of it. And that's what your goal should be: living your ultimate life, your optimal best experience. Okay, so that's the goal. And if you feel like you can come back and do it again over and over and over again, then what are some of the greatest lessons you want to learn while you're here? If you're having problems being stuck, then that's what you should focus on. Small goals. Small goals is how you should make your focus and move with them. Think about a river and a meandering water source. When it gets stuck, it builds up, and sometimes it just has to wait for the tide to turn around it so that it can get to its new path. And if that has to be us, then let it be us. But we have to keep in mind that we shall flow again, and that should be our ultimate goal. As women, whether we choose to be mothers or not, we have a sacred feminine energy, and no matter how much we feel threatened by the sociological um, uh, aspects that don't protect us or diminish who we are, we know our strengths.
Mhm.
And we don't have to focus on other people to validate what our strengths are. But as women and as a collective entity, it should be in our mind how powerful we are in our action, and also knowing when it's best for us to stand still. Because
Yeah.
sometimes getting unstuck doesn't mean running and, doing this and that, oftentimes doing too much, but being still, finding a
Mhm.
peace to be still and experience the movement of things around you. You have to be the one who can discern whether you need to make a move, whether you stay too long, or whether you need to slow your ass down and
Mhm.
figure out what's going on around you, who's around you, what's working in your favor, and what's not. But the
Mhm.
ultimate goal is to be unstuck. Now, this is a thing I want to say for all women. I'm begging. I'm begging, and this is a personal request. As a species, we are under attack. Okay, as a co-creator of this planetary experience, we have a lot of uh, barriers against us.
Mhm.
It's not our goal to focus on what they are, how they break us down and keep us oppressed. But our goal is to finesse our way through this. And one thing that Saran and our relationship taught me is how to dance, how to get back into dancing. So that idea of being stuck, really imagine yourself on the dance floor. Change the song, okay?
Mhm.
Get back into moving your feet, going with the rhythm of the beat that you choose. Get back to
Mhm.
dancing and don't hesitate to find a friend. Old friend, new friend. Go find a friend. Don't go it alone. I think that's another thing. We feel so courageous when we triumph through this shit cesspool, excuse my language, of troubles and trials and tribulations. But it is so much better when you can find a friend, not to burden down, but to tell them how you navigated, rode with the punches,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
overcome. It's like being your support system. And when you can be a support system, that's good too. So
Yeah.
um, there
Mhm.
is
Mutual
hope.
exchange of energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Mhm.
want to also tell folks about grounding, making sure that people are getting out and spending some time out there barefoot. Yeah, and just feeling the pulse of the earth underneath their feet. But being mindful that Mother Earth is hurting and you will feel her pain. So, bearing that in mind, it's not to run from it, but it's for us to embrace one another and,
Mhm.
talk through it in a form of therapy.
Mhm.
Figure
And
out better ways to have
I'm,
fun.
I'm glad that you brought up the grounding. You know,
Hmm. Yeah,
that's always an assignment in the detox challenge, every single session, and it's for a reason. No, I don't buffer it by saying Mother Nature is hurting. I don't give anything like that. But that connection is the first separation that we had from nature, the absolute first.
hmm,
Think of a woman giving birth in the wilderness or whatever. The shoes, that's the first disconnection.
yeah,
And so it's important for us to um, go back to that.
yeah,
It's not something that we can do on a regular, but get your foot planted in the dirt.
yeah.
Think of the difference that you that reverberates in you as you go to the beach.
Hmm.
There's a reason for that. Even if you don't get to go into the water, but you walk the shoreline, you feel different.
Yeah,
And again, that's the rebirth of our connection to nature. I don't want to sound as if I'm pushing a particular lifestyle, but even if you're not looking at it from a spiritual or emotional point of view, the physical benefits are documented.
yeah,
They cannot be disputed. So whatever your motivation, whether it's to heal this or to do that, or whether you're looking from it just from a physical benefit, um, go at it. Go
it'll
at it.
lighten your life.
Mhm.
It'll lighten your life. It'll lighten your cycle too. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Another conversation.
But yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
So, are there any questions? Any questions? Let me just check the chat on Zoom because we're about to wrap up. Like I said, four elements united. They Um, they transmit live on Facebook and
Who else?
also on YouTube. Hmm?
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Earth, wind, yes, earth, wind, fire, and water. So
Water
it's four of them, yeah.
and water.
And water. So anyhow, if there are no questions, we have to bid you guys farewell. I just want to add, just as a reiteration, again, it's important being unstuck, like as Joe lamented on. It's important for us to pay attention to what you're saying to yourself. Always be in positive dialogue with yourself. It's so
Especially in the water,
important. Yeah.
especially while the water runs over your body. And if you ever need to feel rejuvenated, when you're in the water, whether it be in the shower or the ocean, the sea, make sure those positive affirmations, those words are
Mhm.
strong, strong, strong.
Mhm.
Water on the body and in the body. Positive words, feed that water. Feed that water positive energy, and you will flow. We will
Yeah.
fall. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to
You're
make
fine.
sure that they knew on the outside and the inside, and that manifestation, however you want to call it, is real.
Mhm.
Positive words, positive words.
Yeah. There, if you get up every day feeling stuck, recognizing that you're stuck and look at it as a permanent state of being, you're not going to shift it. You're going to stay stuck.
Yeah,
So it's important for us to shift the mindset behind it. Plant the seeds that you want to see. Put
yeah,
it around you. Whatever you want to accomplish, put it on your phone. Put it somewhere that you can see. Create your what do you call it again?
a
Your
vision board.
vision board.
Yeah,
Put that together.
but
Have
do,
positive self talk.
yes, but
Um,
do not spend your energy where you know that there's holes in the bucket. Don't waste your time talking to people who you know ain't listening. Them ain't the people for you. You go where you can be heard. And if you can't
yeah.
be heard, put it on the paper, put it on the board. Put
Yes.
it on paper,
Yeah.
put it on the board. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Eat
Eat.
as if
Yes.
you're trying to promote life.
Yes. And if you,
Anything outside of that is going to be promoting the opposite. And
that's
that's not
right.
what you want if you want to, get unstuck.
Yeah.
Foods will help. It helps your vibration.
Yeah.
Um,
And you need that food live,
mhm,
as
mhm.
live as possible. I'm not saying don't cook. I'm just saying make sure you're getting live enzymes to your body because those stimulate so many synaptic responses in your brain
The
flow, blood flow,
neurons,
all
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So if there are no other questions, let me
If
just,
you're having trouble loving yourself, I sure enough love you. I don't have to see you to know that I love you. I appreciate you all for being here. I'm glad that you all joined us. And I hope to speak with you all again and see you all again. But this is the thing. We are united in womanhood. And the whole purpose of womanhood is I think about the ancient essence of womanhood. And I hope that you can embrace it and get back to it because we're one of the most powerful entities on the planet, more precious than, I don't know, fire, gold. I don't even know how precious gold is. Crystals? I don't know. What's precious? Oil? I don't know. What's the most? Us. Ain't that so precious?
that's it. You better say it. You better say it.
All
Yeah.
the way around. So be you, free you, enjoy you, do
Hmm.
you,
Love,
cultivate
love,
you.
love yourself because
Yes.
what the song say, it's dangerous
Yeah,
to let somebody love you more than you love yourself.
that's right. And it's impossible. It's impossible for you. Yeah. Mhm.
So with that, Jua, you know it's love. You know
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
love.
I'm
It's
looking for.
constant love. It's constant admiration. I salute.
I'll see you soon, my golden girl.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for being a friend. Oh my gosh, you need to come and visit. Let
Real
me see.
soon. Waiting on the restrictions to lift up,
Yeah.
and we'll be there.
So
So make
all right.
room.
Oh, Like I say, the red carpet and the petals waiting on you.
All right, I'm bringing the entourage.
Entourage.
Yes, ma'am.
Sounds beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, everybody on Zoom. Thank you for your time. Um, Next week conversation. Next week is I'm rolling solo on that one, but tune in. And it's one that I'm going to have to be very, very delicate with because I don't want to offend. But I highly encourage you to tune in next Sunday at 6 as we discuss one of the most necessary. We're going to have a very necessary conversation. Yeah, an objectively necessary conversation. So I'll see you guys next week at 6 o'clock. And until then, I wish you a beautiful, magical, successful day. Remember, little by little, we chip away at the negative aspect of being stuck. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for spending time with me and my sister, my Gemini buddy.
Think well, think well. Think
Think
well,
well,
think well.
eat well, be well. Peace and blessings, everybody. Good night to you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Love you, Jua.
Love you
Bye.
too.